Thank you for joining us for this edition of Health Feed from the Sioux Falls Health Department. Today we have with us Denise Patton from our Vector Control Program. Thanks for joining us, Denise. It's that time of year where we have to talk about mosquitoes. Not everyone's favorite topic, but it's necessary. And the City of Sioux Falls does a lot to help protect the citizens. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So talk to us a little bit about the Vector Control, the Mosquito Control Program, and what your main goal is.
You know, obviously, South Dakota has short summers, and so we want to make sure people can enjoy the outdoors in this little sliver of time and be safe and enjoy it without being bit. And so we do kind of monitor all the mosquitoes that are out there, and not all of them bite people, and some spread disease very well, and some are aggressive biters. So we're constantly monitoring the weather and the mosquitoes and putting all the pieces together with our summer activities to make sure people can enjoy it.
Wonderful. So when we're talking about mosquitoes and biting people, yes, it's a nuisance, but sometimes it can have real health implications as well.
Correct. Like I said, there's several different kinds of mosquitoes, and some are really, really good carriers of disease. And so we are particularly driven by health reasons for the program. And so we're looking at habitats that are most conducive for those kinds of mosquitoes, and our thresholds and our collections will be triggered a lot quicker. So we're monitoring what's going to be annoying and what's going to be a higher risk, and knowing that we're going into the 4th of July and some of our summer activities. We know that those are things where you have to take into consideration.
Yes. So talking about the 4th of July and family picnics, gatherings, a lot of things outdoors, because we do have some time to do that. So talk to us about some of the things that we can do individually to help protect ourselves against any of those mosquitoes.
Well, we know that we've had a ton of rain. We've got the warm weather that is kind of coupled with the rain. And that's been perfect for all of our mosquitoes to really pop in the last few weeks. Typically, the 4th of July is kind of our midpoint of the summer and kind of the kickoff. I hate to say kickoff, that sounds like a celebration, but it's kind of when we start seeing West Nile virus showing up in populations and in our trap collections and that sort of thing. And so this is really the time of the year that we want to remind people that if you're going to be outdoors for all of the fun stuff, don't forget to wear bug spray of some sort of protective, long sleeve clothing. Just take precautions to protect yourself. And obviously with all the rain, again, you want to look at the area that you're going to be in. If there's something you can do to eliminate standing water, there's even things you can get at a hardware store that'll help you fog your yard, or to do barrier treatments on your turf, that sort of thing, if you're going to have a barbecue. So just utilize the options that are out there to make sure that you can enjoy those outdoor activities, and hopefully we don't, have anybody that gets West Nile.
Yeah. So talking about your yard and doing some of those things around your home, what are other things around your house that maybe you should look for so that we don't have extra mosquitoes? Some of those things people might not know that could be a breeding ground.
Right. It truly only takes about a teaspoon of water for mosquitoes to lay their eggs. If that water would sit there for at least a week, it could complete a life cycle and create hundreds of mosquitoes, believe it or not. Now, typically something that small isn't going to last a full week, but that does kind of give you a little mental picture of what you should be looking for. So dog dishes, playground equipment, in the backyard, slides that might have a little dip at the end, your gutters, if they're clogged and like holding any sort of water, bird baths, water features, overwatering your lawn if there's little areas that kind of sit and pool. So those are all things that we tell people, just do a little once over of your yard on a regular basis and see if you can eliminate that standing water. But like I mentioned before, there's even things you can do with regards to like spraying shrubberies and things like that with a product that will kind of repel the mosquitoes and kind of keep them away.
Okay, so when we come back here in just a moment, we're going to talk a little bit about spraying and what the City of Sioux Falls is doing to help protect everybody.
Hi, I'm Dr. Van Diest from Falls Community Health, here to talk about West Nile virus. West Nile virus is spread primarily through mosquito bites and can cause fevers and, in severe cases, inflammation of the brain and spinal cord. South Dakota is projected to have a moderate to severe West Nile season this year. To protect yourself, use insect repellent when outdoors, especially in the evenings. Wear long sleeves and pants when outdoors. Ensure screens on windows and doors are without holes or gaps. For more information on West Nile virus, contact your primary care physician or log on to the city's webpage at siouxfalls.org.
Welcome back. Again, we're here with Denise Patton from our Vector Control Program talking about mosquito spraying during these summer months. So you have a program with several staff members, lots of trucks. Talk to us a little bit about your foundation there.
Yes, every year we have approximately 20 people that work for us. We have people monitoring our traps that we have kind of located all throughout the city to kind of give us an idea of what's going on in the southeast as opposed to the northwest. It can be very different. So those individuals are primarily focused on our traps. We have a couple people that work in our office and literally sit under a microscope 8 hours a day, counting, identifying mosquitoes down to genus and species, and we even do some testing of our high-risk mosquitoes at our lab for the presence of West Nile virus antibodies. So they're super busy right now, as you can well imagine. And then we have, like I said, about 15 people that Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, are out looking for standing water, treating areas in our public areas of Sioux Falls. So we don't go into private property, but we may respond to a citizen request to look at something on a private property. But generally speaking, they're doing things out on the streets, detention ponds, retention ponds, drainage ditches, that sort of thing. If we can find the mosquitoes in the standing water or in some of these harborage sites, we can lower that number significantly without having to do a spray. So it's more of a preventative treatment in the water.
Okay.
And when we start doing spraying, that's more of a reactive. We don't want to do it, but obviously you can't get to every body of water. So they're super busy doing that, and we do events at some of the parks. The Levitt and McKinnon Park will have staff out there sometimes doing distribution of some little deep packets and coloring books for the kids and ways to just kind of make people a little bit more aware of what we do. So yeah, we're busy. We have a lot of people doing a lot of things.
Okay, so talk to us specifically about the spraying. When we see the trucks going out down the street, you're putting out the announcements about the spray. Talk to us about that process.
Okay, so the trapping that I keep mentioning, we have 18 traps throughout the city of Sioux Falls, and each of them represent a zone. So we've kind of divided the city into little bite-sized pieces. When those traps exceed certain thresholds for either heavy biting mosquitoes or the high risk ones, that will tell us we need to do something. And it includes both looking for standing water as well as going out and spraying that area. So yes, we have started to spray. A couple weeks ago, we started doing some targeted sprays across the city because our traps were telling us we needed to. And they'll people will probably see us fairly regularly now for the rest of the season. That's how it goes. But there's a lot of things that I think people have questions about when we're out and about. When we go by someone's home, it only takes a few minutes to go down a block. The spray that comes out of the back of the truck is mixed with water, and it's usually less than a teaspoon of active ingredient that's distributed per acre. But that nozzle on the back of our truck shoots that product into a billion tiny pieces. We want to create a cloud that hovers as long as possible, because if a mosquito flies through it, it will knock it down. If it settles to the ground, then it's done. It usually breaks down within hours. So our goal is to get out there on really good nights where it's not too windy and it's not too cold and it's not raining, which is very hard sometimes in South Dakota. But we do have kind of these certain parameters by the label to apply at certain times, dawn and dusk. Another question we get a lot about is our beneficial insects. There are certain times where beneficial insects are most active, and it is typically in the afternoon into about 1 or 2 in the afternoon. They do finish their foraging activities and will roost around dusk. And so that's why the labels are what they are, and they have us going out, 8:30 when those beneficial insects are in. And so it's very, very specific so that we can do what we need to without harming anything that we don't want to harm.
And so the product that's used in the spraying, is that harmful to people? You talked about the insects, so what about people if you would happen to be outside?
It's not going to harm you. It's applied in such a small dose that unless you have a really extreme medical sensitivity, and we're aware that could happen, certainly people may have that. But typically, if you have concerns, it's easy just to go indoors for just a few minutes and then you can come back outside, and it shouldn't have any effect whatsoever on human populations or even pets. So the products that we use are pyrethroids, which is a big chemistry word that nobody wants to deal with, but pyrethroids are the most common product out there in pest control, and they've been around for a long time, studied very extensively, and are very safe, and that's why they're used so extensively. We use different variations of pyrethroids because there's several different types. Every couple years we might change our product to be slightly different just to prevent resistance and that sort of thing. But there's a lot of science that goes into it, but the products that we do use, because of how it's applied and when it's applied properly, is not going to affect anything that it's not supposed to.
Okay, and you do put notifications out when you're going to spray, but you've changed up the zones this year a little bit. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, we realized it had been quite a while since we've kind of looked at the city limits of the city, how the city has grown. And so yeah, we have created an 18th zone. We only had 17 prior to that. And it just makes them a little bit more attainable for our staff to get through when we do our spray events at night, and some of the unincorporated areas that maybe now are incorporated into the city limits. So we do encourage people to go out to the city website, siouxfalls.org, go to the mosquito page, and there is a link. It says an interactive spray map, and you can key in your address. It's super simple. They even updated that, so it's wonderful. You can find exactly what zone you're in, the dates that it has been sprayed. And our text alerts also will tell you that. So if you are interested in knowing immediately when your zone is going to be sprayed, you can sign up to receive those, kind of like you do the snow removal events, that sort of thing. You can text the word spray to 888-777. It's pretty simple. And every time we do a press release, you'll get it instantly, and you'll know if your zone's going to be on the docket for spraying that night.
Awesome. That's a wonderful way to keep people updated on what's happening. So is there anything else that you want to talk to us about mosquitoes? Anything else that people need to be aware of? Times of day maybe that they should avoid or not? Any last tips or tricks?
Yeah, I think some of the biggest things that we want to remind people of is, because rain obviously brings about a lot of mosquitoes, people think that's the only time they're going to get bit. And the educational component of that is that the mosquitoes that emerge after rain are heavy biters, and so certainly that's a good time to wear bug spray. But last year, the year before, was a drought year, and people didn't think we had mosquitoes. We do still have mosquitoes, and unfortunately, in a drought year or the drier periods of time, the kind of mosquito that likes that the most are heavy or our vector species, the ones we're most worried about. So whether we have a wet year or a dry year, we encourage people, wear your bug spray, because they are out there. You just may not notice them as much. Dawn and dusk are obviously peak mosquito times. So those are the times, if you could avoid going outside, you have some gardening to do or something, that might be the time you choose to avoid that. But I also know it's also the cooler time of the day, so you're going to have to kind of balance that a little bit. And then a lot of people do get confused with mosquitoes and other biting insects such as gnats. And there's a balancing act. Gnats kind of are aggressive all the time, and they like flowing water. Mosquitoes like stagnant water. So there's kind of a peak usually in the spring of gnats, and hopefully we'll start seeing those subside a little bit. But again, DEET will help, or some sort of bug spray will help with gnats too.
And any bug spray that you can get over the counter at any of your local pharmacies or grocery stores, those kind of things will work.
There are, obviously you hear a lot about DEET, that's kind of the big one, but picaridin is also a really great active ingredient, has a lot of studies behind it. But even some of the organic ones, oil, lemon of eucalyptus, some of those things are just as effective. They just might not last as long. So just find something that you're comfortable with and make sure you know how long it lasts and reapply as needed.
Well, we appreciate your time, Denise. Mosquitoes are always a big topic in the summer here in South Dakota, so thank you for the updates and all of the new information.
Thank you.
If you have any other questions about the mosquito control program, please visit siouxfalls.org.